The Light After the Morning. Chapter 4. The Invitation. Noah finished his breakfast without hurry. The plate was clean when he pushed it back. The eggs gone, the toast reduced to crumbs he brushed together with the edge of his fork. The coffee had cooled just enough to drink without blowing on it. Margaret noticed these things the way she noticed most things now, not as judgments, not as signals, just as facts that belonged to the room. He folded his napkin once, not carefully, just enough to keep it from unfolding again. When he stood, he reached into his jacket pocket and paused. She was turned toward the register when he set it down. By the time she looked back, he was already shrugging into his coat, shoulders settling into familiar weight. The carnation rested beside his empty mug, red but not loud, the kind of red that deepened rather than demanded. Its stem still damp from the cold, a faint ring of water already forming on the counter. "I'll see you," he said, already halfway to the door. She nodded. "Drive safe." The bell rang. The door opened. Cold air moved through the room, then was gone. The morning continued. Margaret didn't touch the flour right away. She wiped the counter where the mug had been, collected the plates, stacking them by size without thinking, carried them to the sink, the familiar weight grounding her hands. Jack cleared the booth without being asked. He moved efficiently, but not hurried, his chair scraping softly as he pushed it back into place. He wiped the table twice, then once more along the edge, as if making sure nothing had been left behind. Oscar watched the street, his chin resting on the table, sunlight sliding across his sleeve, and then retreating again as a cloud passed. When the light returned, he smiled faintly, as if it had kept an appointment. Only when the room settled did Margaret return to the counter. The carnation lay exactly where it had been left. She picked it up. The stem was longer than she'd expected, the petals firm, cool to the touch. She found a chipped glass beneath the counter, the one with the thin crack near the base, and filled it halfway. Set the flower inside, adjusted the angle once, then stopped herself. She placed it near the window, not centered, not displayed, just present. The rest of the day unfolded with the slow cooperation of habit. Lunch came and went without rush. A pair of travelers lingered over pie. Someone asked for directions and wrote them down carefully, as if the paper mattered. Margaret took inventory during the lull, counted cans, made notes on the back of a receipt, noted what would need replacing before winter. Her thoughts kept circling supper, not planning it, just noticing it. By late afternoon, the light shifted, stretching longer across the floor, catching dust she hadn't seen that morning. Jack closed his book and slid it into his bag. Oscar gathered his things with care, checking beneath the table twice before standing, then once more for good measure. The walk home was quiet. Leaves scraped along the edge of the road. A screen door down the street opened and closed. dog barked once, then decided it was finished. The house smelled like dust and soap and old wood warmed by sun. Margaret opened the windows, letting the air move through the rooms. It lifted the curtains slightly, then let them fall again, as if testing whether it was welcome. The house made small sounds as it cooled, a tick in the walls, a settling board underfoot. It had been lived in. It had not hosted. Margaret filled the sink, rinsed vegetables she hadn't planned to use yet, set them aside, noticing that she had chosen the better ones without meaning to. Jack hovered near the table. "Company?" he asked. "Maybe," she said. She heard herself choose the word. Not later, not sometime. Maybe. He nodded, satisfied with that. Oscar sat on the floor, lining his shoes side by side. When one tipped, he straightened it. When it tipped again, he left it, deciding that was acceptable. He looked at the third space, then slid one shoe a fraction to the left. Margaret noticed. She set a pot on the stove, not because it was time, because it would be. When the boys were settled, she dried her hands and reached for her coat. The walk back to the diner felt different at this hour. The street quieter, the windows reflecting her back at herself. She passed the hardware store, the post office, places that knew her now. Noah was finishing up when she arrived. The lights were already dimmed, the counter wiped down to a dull shine. He looked up, surprised, but not unsettled. "Everything all right?" he asked. "Yes," she said. Then, after a breath she hadn't planned, "I wanted to ask you something." She didn't rush it, didn't soften it into apology. "We're having dinner tonight," she said. "At the house. It's simple." She could have explained. She didn't. She stopped, met his eyes. "You're welcome to join us, if you'd like." The pause was brief, measured, the kind that meant consideration, not hesitation. "I'd like that," he said. She nodded once. "That's good." She walked home slower this time. The house looked different in the early evening light. Less worn, less provisional, as if it understood something was being asked of it. She moved with intention now, set the table, added an extra plate, moved it once, then again, until it felt placed rather than added. Jack noticed. He didn't comment. He simply shifted his chair slightly, making room without being told. Oscar stood in the doorway watching steam rise from the stove. When she handed him a spoon, he took it carefully, stirring once, then again, listening to the sound it made against the pot. When she set a third glass on the table, he looked at it, then nodded, satisfied. Outside, a truck slowed on the road. Headlights passed, then returned. The house made a small sound, not a creak, more a breath. When the knock came, it wasn't loud. Margaret wiped her hands and went to the door. Noah stood on the step, holding nothing. No flowers, no pretense, just his jacket and that steady way of waiting without filling the space. She stepped back. "Come in," she said. The house held, and he did.